Hey, what's going on, everybody? Matthew, Whitey's channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another discussion episode. Today is a little bit of a harder episode to film. So a friend of the channel did reach out to me through Messenger a couple days ago, and I had a specific question in mind. And I'm probably going to not read the entire message, but I am going to probably pick out a few highlights from his message to kind of discuss. Now, I did respond to his message, but he asked me, he's like, hey, if you want to talk about it in video form, that's fine too, which, I really thank him for, because this is a really important topic, guys. It's not something that is normally discussed on this channel, but as I've said before, I want to talk about any and everything, and sometimes, yes, I get it, the hilarity, the fun videos, the excitement ones, that's what people are gravitating towards. They want to be able to laugh and have a good time, see some things that they haven't seen before. I got it. But yes, the deep discussions, even the painful ones, I mean, that's stuff that everybody's gonna suffer or feel at some point in their life. So I'm not the best talker in the world, as you guys already know, but I'm gonna try and give as honest of feedback as I possibly can in regard to the situation at hand. So, and this is just my personal interaction with this type of event as it occurred to me. So I'm kind of just scanning through the message to pinpoint the exact question. So he talks about losing one of his best friends, and it's his pet dog, and that just when he talks about tearing to pieces, I'm like, words are so powerful, and even though it's in written form, you could already feel the pain that people feel. Look, man, pets are not just property, they're part of the family. Now, some people don't treat pets as such. I mean, a lot of people are like, hey, I want a dog, and then they get a dog and then they treat them as an inconvenience. Or people move and they leave their dogs behind. We see it in the military all the time. How many dogs and cats are left behind because they don't want to take them with them? Or if they're going overseas, they don't want to get their shot records updated or something. So instead of going through that process, they just let the dogs run out the back door and good riddance type of deal. So it's sad, obviously, that he's losing a member of the family, but at the same time, it's nice to see that someone has that kind of compassion and respect for his pet dog here. It says, if you ever had a beloved pet pass or loss that really broke you, how did you deal with it? What are your thoughts about it? It's odd because growing up, I feel like my family has always had dogs or cats, and I can't even say, to be honest, up until the time that I got married. We've always had dogs or cats, and I don't ever remember suffering that type of loss. Not that they didn't die, it's that something would happen to them. Like, they would just suddenly, one day they'd be there, and then other days they'd be gone. I kind of felt like my oldest brother, like we would have pit bulls. I kind of feel like he would take the dogs in and do dog fighting or something. And then the dogs would just not be there one day. Or we had this really chubby cat named Fred, and awesome cat. And we also had dogs at the time, and I think we had the pit bulls, if I'm not mistaken, at the same time. And beloved pet, and just one day the cat wasn't there. Like, where the heck did he go? Did the pit bulls get him and nobody ever said anything? So we're talking about young kids, probably ages, let's say 2 to age 19. That's when I graduated high school, so from the time that I left to go to basic training. So I never really saw our animals die in that sense. The last dog we got in 1998. I was 13, and that dog was still there up until 2010. And I think when I spoke to my mom a few years after that, she said that she had to put the dog down, and that was tough because I think that was my dog. The rest of my family member, they didn't treat that dog right. Wouldn't take her for walks. Let her run outside in the backyard, and that was her walks. And I always had to feel like I'd have to protect her from everyone else because they always wanted to, I don't want to say beat on her, but they didn't treat her right. And she'd always sleep in the back room with me, kind of next to my bed and everything. In 2010, obviously I haven't seen her probably in 6 years because I was gone back with the military. I was stationed in Texas for all those years, minus the time I spent in Iraq. But yeah, she didn't remember me. Whenever I walk over to pet her, she'd walk away. Now that sucked. So I think that was like really the first time that I could say for myself that was the first pet of my own that died. Now when my wife and I got married, she had this cat, this Russian blue, that she had since 1992, and she had that cat for 19 years. I despise that cat. That cat hated my guts. That cat hated me since the first day I ever visited her in her house. Maybe because I was new and she didn't know me, but that cat just did not. Now, when the cat got older and she was nearing death, I could actually pick her up and hold her and pet her and stuff. Towards the end, she actually got a whole lot better to the point where I actually could say I actually liked the cat, and I was actually sad to hear when she died. But because my wife and I are never going to have kids, that cat really was, in every true essence, my wife's child. And when I was overseas, I was in Afghanistan when she died in 2011. And hearing my wife cry on the phone, that was absolutely gut-wrenching. Pets, as I said, they're family members. If you go out and you adopt a child, you're not just going to treat them like problem child, if you guys remember that John Ritter movie, and try and give the child back. You adopt a pet for life. They're your family for life. They're mean. If they urinate all over the floor, whatever the case might be, that they're yours. Love them or hate them, they're family. But being deployed, I wasn't there with my wife I wasn't there for her, and that was tough. In 2016, there was another pet that we had. Pepe, he died. I think he had some kind of I don't know. I call it throat cancer. I don't know if that's what it was or whatnot. If there was something different, but he was a stray that when my wife was at Central Texas College, probably in 2009, I want to say, one of her classmates said that they found a stray cat over there, and she went over there and picked him up. I'm like, I was mad at her for that because she kept bringing in stray cats. It's one thing when we actually went to the clinic or something and actually adopted a pet, but for those strays, I didn't like that. The tuxedo cat that she adopted, Tux, he was that son of a gun was a bottomless pit. And it doesn't matter how many years he spent with us, he always had that same mindset that I was homeless for however long he was, and that every meal might be my last type of deal. So he was chowing down everything. He'd finish his bowl of food. He'd walk over to someone else's, try to take theirs. You had food left over overnight, hard as a rock, getting ready to throw away. Nope. Here comes the vacuum to gobble that stuff down. That poor son of a gun. I probably tortured that poor cat. 2014, I had just gotten back from Afghanistan, and my wife and I, it was Halloween, and we got these tickets to this murder mystery dinner in Austin, and I was going as the devil. So my wife, she had painted my face all red, and I don't know if it was pre-eyeshadow or not, but I think it was afterwards. But she did my eyes black and my lips blacked up, put horns, and I was a creepy devil-looking guy. Tux, he's on the floor. He jumps up on the table. He looks at me. I stare at him. The fear in that poor guy's eyes, and the way that his whiskers like. I have never felt so bad for anything in my life. I mean, obviously it was unintentional. It's not like, "Hey, Fox, come here. Let me give you a jump scare." No, or Tux, but that poor guy, man. I felt bad for him. My wife's cats, and to me, they'll always be my wife's cats because she is the fanatic at the end of the day. I kind of feel like they're the same thing as celebrities. Celebrities always seem to die in threes, and when the cats started falling off, they started falling off in succession. So, let's see. Missy went in 2011. I think Pepe was gone in like 2016. I think Tux died in 2020. Or no. Maybe 2019? Yeah, maybe 2019. And 2021. I don't remember. I'm going to say 2018 or 2019. And there was nothing, I mean, I don't understand. Like, he apparently had cancer. Like, that to me, of all the cats, always seemed like easily, without a shadow of a doubt, the healthiest cat ever. And he was our little dishwasher, so, you know, I really enjoyed having that little sucker around. In 2011, when my wife's cat Missy died, which can be confusing because my dog Missy, and then my wife had her cat Missy, so gotta kind of elaborate which one was which. She got a new kitten, Cubby, and for the last several months or so, she's kind of grown on me, and I've essentially become the new favorite around the house. My wife and I, we sleep in different rooms now. Oh, we've been sleeping in different rooms since I've been home. I mean, I'm housebound. I don't really go anywhere, so obviously there's nothing to do but eat. And I don't even eat out of hunger. I eat out of boredom a lot, so I put on weight, obviously. And now, obviously, when you add weight, you start to snore when you sleep. And I got tired of her every time I'm trying to sleep, so I'm like, you know what, forget this. I'm going to the other room to sleep. The cat, Cubby, she comes into the room and sleeps with me at night, which is really nice. Or if I'm sitting on the couch, I sit on the little small love seat because my wife is on the bigger couch and surrounded by all the other cats. I'm like, little selfish assholes. But little Cubby, she'll stay with me over there. We call her little chubby Cubby. I think that's going to be a heartbreaker right there. Yeah, we got her in 2011, so she's like 13 now. But she's got a big body, but she's got a small head, and we still treat her as a baby kitten. So even if she has another 10 years on, she'll always be the baby of the family. That's going to be hard to deal. And I know I didn't answer any of these questions. So I got to go back and kind of look at what the question was. I'm sorry. How did you deal with it? And that's the thing. I don't think you really deal with it. I kind of feel like when my wife's cat Missy died, the way that she dealt with it was she went back to Chicago. Like, she left Texas. She went back to Illinois. She went to Chicago. She went to her mom's house and grabbed Fox. That's the cat. To me, that's my cat because that's the cat I brought home. And she brought him back to Texas, and then she adopted Cubby. So it's like one cat died. She replaced him with two. Now, she doesn't look at it like that way, but from my point of view, that's how I feel. It's like, yeah, you know, your baby died, the one that you've had for 19 years of your life, and it's like you immediately got two new cats. So, not necessarily. I don't feel like you're necessarily replacing anyone, but collections. Once upon a time, movies and TV shows, especially TV shows, because they're shorter and for me it's easier viewing, was my passion. I love watching TV shows. In 2018, I finally acknowledged how much of a problem I had, because I think over the course of that season, of the 2018-2019 season, I think there was probably like 60 different TV shows I watched. And you know, I would sit there and DVR everything, and when you're watching like 4 or 5 different TV shows a night, and you're doing that every single night of the week, and then you're watching like 8 or 10 episodes of a show on Saturday, and then like another 8 or 10 episodes on Sunday, and you're like, man, my DVR is finally empty. And then a couple hours later, 5 new shows pop up on your DVR. It's like, it's impossible to keep up. You can't live your life. Well, I'm not into watching TV anymore. That's why I've kind of gravitated towards YouTube, right? And it's just very small and smaller viewing, easier viewing for me. And I think my passion has migrated to collecting wrestling figures. And I do pick up other things outside of wrestling, so maybe just figures in general. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be wrestling, but you always want to kind of focus on the important memories. Because whether it's a human being, a pet, family, or friend, reality is we're all going to go sometime, and we can choose to mourn the loss, or we can celebrate the life. And is that to say that you're never going to feel pain or hurt ever again? That pain will always be there. If I die one day and my wife cries for a couple days, and then a few days later she starts watching TV and she's smiling and she's laughing at whatever she's watching, do I want her to be sad and miserable for the rest of her life? Do I want her to move on and be happy? Of course I want her to be happy. Not deep down, yeah, realistically, you kind of want the grieving period to be a little bit longer for selfish reasons, but you still want people to be able to live their lives regardless. So I know there was more questions in here, so I'm trying to see what else we can talk about on here. Broke you, how did you deal with it? Is the money and time put into figure collections and hobbies worth it? When you lose someone you love so much, would the time be better spent living every bit of life? It depends on who you are. Someone like me, I don't know if I could blame it on military life or whatnot, but like, I have these certain compulsions and stuff, and nervousness. That's why it's hard for me to leave the house. It's like, for me, when I think about when you're on a roller coaster and you're going up the roller coaster, and once you drop, you know how that little feeling that's in your stomach raises up into your heart, into your chest area. When I'm physically around people, that anxiety kicks in. Is 78-year-old grandma going to do anything to harm you? No. Realistically, you know better in here. But don't get me wrong, guys. Military life was great. I recommend it for most people. Most, not everybody, obviously. It had its pros, it had its cons. There were a lot of benefits, both during and post military service, but most people are going to walk away with some kind of injury, physical or otherwise, so that's always something to take away from it. And I'm just suffering some of those repercussions. And collecting for me has, I think this has been a benefit for me personally. As a hobby, I can get on here and I could have been talking. Collecting basically led me to create a YouTube channel, and that YouTube channel has led me to some of the most amazing people I've ever met. It led me to people I speak to on the phone on a regular basis. It led me to other collectors and customizers who do amazing work, who become really awesome friends. It led me to new collections that I probably would have never known about if friend X over here didn't inform me about, hey, did you check out this new item or whatnot. So it keeps me engaged with not just the YouTube community, but a particular group of people, like-minded group of people. So that really helps a lot. You know, I don't have school friends, I don't have work friends, but I do have at least YouTube friends, or eBay friends for that matter. So collecting for me, yeah, I would say for me personally it's worth it. But the financial burden, obviously, you got to be really cautious on what you spend, how much you spend. You always got to weigh pros and cons. What your earning capacity is compared to what your output is. When I left Afghanistan, or no, not Afghanistan, Iraq, in January 2022, I had a certain amount that I was going to use to pay off my house, and then I ended up using that on. So I'm happy to have established something like this, but at the same time, I know those funds could have been better for other things, life-wise. So don't let collecting simply stagger your life. It could be a hobby, a very beneficial and fun hobby, but it's just one aspect of life. I don't want to say that this has become my whole life at this point, but it has become a huge chunk of it. So what else we got on here? Anyway, sorry, still reading the message here, just trying to see if there's any other questions that I can answer. I think that was it. Oh man, I just got a follow-up message. Poor guy just passed along. Cute little buddy too. That sucks. Well, this was a freaking emotional video, wasn't it? Like I said, guys, at the beginning, this was gonna be a difficult video, one of those harder videos to make. I think it's important to make videos like this from time to time. hopefully, I know I didn't really answer the questions to your liking. I could have done a better job, especially when I kind of went off on these tangents talking about my cats and whatnot, but hopefully it did serve some purpose. And if you guys do have any questions, if you ever want to reach out, talk personally, one-on-one, you can reach out to me anytime, and I got nothing else better to do in my life, so talking with you guys is, it brightens up my day, and if I can help you guys brighten up your day as well, I'm all for it, man. So that is it for this video, guys. I had another video planned, another discussion video for the end of this week, and I forgot what the heck I was going to talk about, and that happens sometimes. They keep talking about TBI. I don't know if my loss of memory is due to TBI or if that's due to older age, because I'm always told, you're too young for dementia or too young for Alzheimer's, but I'm like, my freaking memory sucks. I have what I call the Kelly Bundy syndrome. That my brain is only so big that once I accumulate a certain amount of facts, my brain is at capacity. So anytime I learn new facts, it's like in with the new, out with the old type of deal. So like if I'm driving down the street and I'm like, we got to go to that thing. Yeah, that thing right there. And then my wife looks over like, the gas station? Yeah, that thing. I mean, that's just one example, but yes, that has happened. So when you see me freeze up and like kind of like pause or stutter from time to time as I try to come up with words, the simplest of words elude me nowadays, and I can't fight it. I'm not even going to try it anymore. So, I'm out. I was supposed to end the video, wasn't I? Sorry. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you in the comments, and see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.